Cool. So guys, today we're talking about pressing for profit, okay? Now, we're talking profit comes from selling transfers or decorated goods with transfers on them, right? Now, we could talk right now around profitability on how much you're charging and setups and things like that. Your market's a little bit different. What I want to talk about right here is profitability from decoration of garments with transfer comes down to this, okay? Comes down to how well you use your heat press, how well you use and set yourself up to be printing transfers or printing garments in a way that is professional and commercially viable. A lot of people, when they buy heat transfers or they get a heat press, they're often screen printers or they're embroiderers or they're uniform suppliers, that sort of thing, and they're currently outsourcing to somebody around the corner, they're outsourcing to a screen printer, outsourcing to embroidery businesses, and they go, you know what? I'm going to bring heat transfer in-house and I just want to do it myself. And what they do is they buy a heat press, and it might be off eBay, it might be a heat press, a good quality American press, it might be a European press. But what they do is they get the press and they go, right, that's all I need. And that's me. And they get into it and they do it well. But whether or not it's as profitable as it could possibly be all depends on whether they continue learning and go, this actually is going to be a big part of my business. This is something I'm going to invest in to become profitable and commercially viable. Because for heat pressing, businesses out there, they can be absolutely hugely vibrant, commercially successful businesses with purely just heat pressing in their business. And they can be doing hundreds, if not thousands of presses a day, hundreds or thousands of garments a day, right? And it all comes down to be set up properly. So I've got 30 minutes. We do typically a 2-day masterclass where we teach people everything about transfers. We teach them all about garments and fabrics and things like that. And then we literally get them on the heat press and we show them everything around the heat press, the do's, the don'ts, and all the accessories and the do's and the don'ts. And I'm going to do this all in about 20 minutes. Cool. So I'm going to give you the best of it. I want you guys to ask questions. I'm going to be handing things out to sort of show you and whatnot, that sort of thing. Things that trip people up. To be profitable in heat transfer, what we want to do is we want to be pressing garments successfully. We want to do them with confidence, and we want to know that they go out the door and the customer loves them, and then they come back to buy more, not coming back in the door to say this didn't work or it fell off or it's cracking or something like that, right? Okay, so that's what we want to do. Guys, this is a heat press. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks around setting heat pressing up so it is a viable printing process within your business. These are all the things. Okay, this is a clamshell. This here is a manual press, okay? It's something you physically use. They do go up into pneumatic presses and you can get dual plates and things like that. But I can tell you what, every business, if you started here, this is absolutely all you need unless you want some more bells and whistles. This is a damn good setup for somebody wanting to start and have a really commercial grade business, okay? Manual pull down, cool. What we've got here is an automatic lock-in magnet that will auto-release. Now, the reason why this is really important is because pressing time is money, cool? So if I'm standing here and I've got to wait for the bell and then I've got to lift it up, that sort of thing, no, I can't be organising other things. So guys, when I'm pressing, normally what I'm doing is I've got a plate here and I've got a table beside me with all of my garments. I've got my transfers. So while it's pressing, I'm grabbing the next shirt, picking it up to slide it on. Now, a couple of things, guys. You'll see this set up here. This is on a pedestal. Now, a lot of heat presses sit on a table where they've got the feet sitting on the table and you can't quite slide the shirt on. Getting a press where you can get a press that has threadability makes for much faster loading and squareness of the shirt. It's easier to slide on. So if I grab this particular shirt right here, cool. See how I can just slide it straight on, really quick. What I want to do is push it on, feel the seams, make sure it's nice and square. And I've slid it on this way where I've got the head at the top. A lot of people, when they start out pressing transfers, they want to feed it this way, okay? Because they want to look at it. I want to get a transfer and I want to place it down so I can see it, because that for me is the right way to look at things, right? But when I'm doing this, and I'm placing left chest up here, sort of right at the back. right? It's hard, it's where your finger's gonna burn you, that sort of thing. Guys, the fastest way to press is by having garments laid this way, upside down. I know it seems pretty basic and simple, but all of a sudden where we're pressing is much closer to us. It's away from top plates, things like that. You're not leaning over as much, so you're not getting as tired. Cool? Okay, it's easier for peeling and things like that as well. So get used to sliding a shirt on this way. Having this something threadable like this makes for much easier placement, and you also don't get those corners and things like that. So these are the things that slow you down when you're pressing, okay? Is stretching garments. Stretching garments is from placing a garment onto a plate that is too big, cool? So we've got threadability, cool. We always want to try to get threadable sort of heat presses. A lot of presses are designed that way. We want to be able to slide them on, cool, just like this. Can get it nice and square, job done, pull it off like that, place it down, grab the next one. Cool?
Yeah, please.
Interchangeable base plates. Okay, so absolutely it's not a one plate fits all, okay? This particular press right here is a 40 by 50 centimeter heat press, probably one of the most common purchased on the marketplace because it allows you to do the biggest area. Okay, big name and number on the back of a shirt, that sort of thing. But what it doesn't allow you to easily do is kids and women's tops. Now, I'll be honest, they make up a fair portion of the population, particularly active wear and garments like that. They're much tighter fitting, that sort of thing. So you want to be able to go to a smaller plate so that you can slide it on really nicely. Now, guys, something like this, kids and women, okay? Much smaller. Sit on just like that. Boom, I can slide a much smaller shirt on, nice and easy, get it nice and square. It's not gonna be stretched, I'm not trying to squeeze it on. There's nothing worse than spending 5-10 seconds trying to get it squeezed on and pulling those creases out. So having the right size plate for the garments that you're doing are really, really important. Cool. Doing sleeves and things like that, okay? A lot of people when they're doing sleeves, right, you've got the crease on the inside and they sort of lay the sleeve flat, or they use a bit of a silicone pad or a bit of a pillow and they slide it into the arm, and then they lay the sleeve nice and flat onto the actual plate and press it, but then they get the crease from the actual seam underneath because you can't slide it on. Using a little plate like this allows you to thread the shirt on through the neck, get into the sleeve and just doing a really quick little press on the sleeve, okay guys? Much faster to do it that way. We've done some of the fastest pressing ever on sleeves using little plates. So a lot of people hate sleeves, right? You're absolutely using a small plate, much faster. That can be actually some of the most profitable pressing is the extra little transfer that you do on the sleeve for somebody. Using something like this to do your neck care label, okay? Really quick, really fast, just sits on, boom, press out the care label, move on to the next one. Away you go. Couple of things about little plates, okay? Say I've got this plate right here and I'm just wanting to press something nice and small. I've got a t-shirt and I'm just doing across the front here and I just want to slide it on, sit it there and press that way. A lot of people, what they don't realize is when they go to a small plate, they've got to change the pressure, okay? I'm going to give you a quick analogy. You've got 10 people standing here. Just imagine this is 10 people, okay? They're all standing here and I give them a 100 kilo box and they're all holding that 100 kilo box up. I then take 6 people away, right? Which is a bit kind of like reducing it down to this size. And I keep the 4 people remaining holding the 100 kilo box. I haven't changed the weight. In other words, I haven't changed the pressure. For the smaller 4 people or the small plate, do you think it feels heavier? Absolutely feels heavier, right? Okay, same for the little plate. Feels heavier. So we get phone calls from people going, oh, I'm getting heat marks in my garments, right? Why am I getting a heat mark? What they've done is they're like, I'm getting heat marks, so I've gone down to a little plate so that I'm not pressing the rest of the garment. And what I'm now getting is a square, okay? Same thing as if I'm using a big plate. And I take one of these and I sit it here to do the left chest because I'm doing some polos, you know, the dreaded polo with the plaque down the middle, okay? I just want to isolate this. Cool, I do a press and what I get is a dirty big square mark that's been heat pressed. It changes in color, we're all like, oh, what is going on? I didn't even change the pressure, right? What you've actually done is if you were pressing this, and this heat press here actually tells me the pressure that I'm getting. I'm getting a pressure of 5, cool? Medium pressure, cool? If I put this here and heat press, it's still gonna tell me 5. The only difference is 5 onto a much smaller area is a lot more pressure because we've focused all that pressure in a small area. If I reduce the size down from the original size, from the base size to a smaller plate, I have to drop the pressure off. If you don't have a machine that tells you the pressure, it's a real suck it and see sort of guesswork, okay, as to what the pressure is. And you might have to look at the amount of sort of marking, that sort of thing, as to whether it's too much pressure. You might have to look at how it's pushing in. Oh, actually, I need to drop it off a little bit more because I'm still getting heat marks. Cool.
Okay.
These things absolutely work for isolating areas, but one thing that people do that catches them out all the time. Say, I've got a square like this and I'm doing some tote bags. Cool, and we've got the tote bags, we've got the handles and all those sorts of things, or maybe we've got some zips that we just want to keep off the press area. Okay, so we put this here, we take a tote bag, just imagine I've got one. We sit it here at the front because that's where I'm pressing so I can see. And we press it like this. We go to peel the transfer and half of it sticks, but the other half doesn't. In actual fact, only a small area kind of sticks and they just can't work out why, right? If you ever change the base, like you're putting a base, like a pad down like this, right? This top plate is center pinned. It's like a seesaw. It's only pushed down in the middle. So if I put something here at the front, this top plate is gonna come down and go like this, okay? And this is where this pad is sitting. It's gonna come down and it's gonna rock, okay? You're gonna get good pressure here, but you lose all of your pressure here, okay? If you're gonna use a pad like this to bulk an area up, and perfect example is that left pocket right here, put something in the opposite corner, okay? You can sit it on top of the garment, doesn't have to be underneath the garment type sort of thing. You can sit on top of the garment there once you've laid it, but you need to balance both sides of your plate with even thicknesses so that you have an even press, okay? By having an even press, you have even pressure, or even pressure, you'll have quick and easy and fast applications. And that's what makes this sort of work profitable, is setting your press up. Profitable pressing is quick, confident pressing. These are the sorts of little things that trick us up. Cool. Guys, pillows. Who here uses a pillow? Sometimes. Sometimes. Do we love pillows? Cool. Lots of people do, right? And they have a place, absolutely. Pillows are used when we're pressing garments that have zips, or like they say they have pockets and things, and they've got buttons, and it's not perfectly flat, and they want to try to allow it to fill out the shirt and press it. Cool? Okay. What they do though is, if I was to press this really quick, it's really hard to lock down, right? Cool. Now, I've got a pressure of 9 right now, but that was pretty heavy for me to squeeze out. And that's because I'm trying to squeeze the air out of a sponge, right? That is wrapped in Teflon, cool? You can do it, but you've got to squeeze all the air out and you've got to get it down to lock in. Most people, what they do, they go, oh gee, yeah, no, drop the pressure off. Yeah, that's about right, types of thing. And what they do is they drop the pressure off because it feels heavy, but by the time it actually locks in, the sponge is compressed and all the air's squeezed out of it, and all of a sudden they've got nowhere near the pressure they should have to apply a transfer, okay? Digital transfers like Caesar, the HTV, so crafters and things like that, HTV can be pressed with a lot less pressure. It's a lot more stable, and pillows work really well with HTV and that sort of thing. When you get into slightly more technical transfers, such as screen printed transfers, like plastisol transfers, certainly our ultra color transfer, which is a hybrid screen printed transfer, they like to have good firm pressure because you're really pushing that ink and glue into the fabric you need. There's not a lot of body about the transfer. It's all about the glue, and you want to push the glue into the fabric, and that needs good firm pressure. When people use pillows with screen printed transfers, that's where the pressure is, they start to lose a lot of pressure. So if you're using pillows, make sure to give it that few extra seconds and allow the air to compress out of it, and try to refrain from dropping your pressure, okay? You actually need to almost feel like you're giving it more pressure. What it's gonna do is it's going to allow all the foam to push up around that sort of the plaque of the polo and the seams and things like that. So it's gonna do what it needs to do, but you just make sure that you're not tricked into dropping your pressure unnecessarily, because that's where you get application issues. If we have people calling and they're saying, Ben, it's just not working no matter what I do, one of the questions straight away is we ask, are you using the pillow? And I'll be honest, a lot of the time it's like, yes, I am. Cool, take the pillow away, try it without the pillow. And then they're like, oh, geez, this just works. It's amazing. Pillows can work with HTV, with vinyl transfers really, really well, because they're a lot easier to press. They're a lot more stable. The vinyl's a lot stronger sort of thing. But with screen printed transfers, they need more pressure. Cool. Instead of something like this, using the right size plate can make a big difference to that speed and efficiency and the confidence that you get into terms of pressing, that sort of thing. Cool. Okay. Some other tools that we use, guys, for those that do lots of t-shirts. If you do t-shirts, right, this here is called like a tag along. Sits like this, right? And what it does is when you feed the shirt on, it self-centers the actual garment itself, because this is the neck. So you slide it straight on, boom, pulls the neck into position. You've got your shoulders here, so it's nice and square. Fastest way to load a t-shirt so it's nice and flat. The other thing it does, see the neck right here? It's got an area for the neck so you don't get that neck seam sort of pressure point that you see. And you've also got, the reason it's called tag along is you've got this other pad here for doing the tag. The inside tag that a lot of t-shirt fashion businesses, that sort of want to do their own branding on top of the actual t-shirt, like where the logo is. So you can do a front print and the back tag in the back of the shirt at the same time using this particular press right here, because you're able to pull the back of the shirt, which is down here, up through here and sit it there. Nice, really quick. I can show you how to do that right now. So we just change this plate over, going for the next job, load it on, load it in, grab my shirts, straight on, see how straight it is, absolutely perfect. And then if I want to, I just grab this, pull it up. I've now got the ability to do front print, as well as my tag here, my label, my brand, my sizing. Boom, right here, done, pull that down, pull it off. Much faster, so you can press more garments per hour, perfectly straight, really quick and easy. And that's with a clamshell like this. How are we doing for time? 20 minutes, geez, that's gone quick. Okay, couple of things, what else I can show you? Here we go. Who ever suffers with heat marks? Heat marks and things, or heat sensitive fabrics that just shine up. Cool, okay. I've got some things to hand out and pass around. Pass this around, pass it back, here we go. One over there, there's two, pass them around. This one here, this is actually how they come, cool. Looks and feels like a chamois. Has anybody seen what this is? Have I got any takers? Tell me what it is, you can have one.
Heat resistant mat.
It is a heat resistant mat, yes, absolutely. Right, guys, we call this an application pad, right? What this is, it's almost like taking your transfer application from pan frying to oven baking. Cool? If I have my t-shirt, cool. I load my shirt on. Now, I wouldn't use this for t-shirts, guys. We're talking about polyesters. We're talking, you know, those cool dry sort of shirts. We're talking about polos and things. I know Dave, when he was pressing his shirt at the back there, because he's wearing a polo, it's kind of got that silky sort of look to it. He didn't want any heat marks, so he was using one of these when he pressed those shirts for us, for this show. Cool? Pretty much what it does, I would take my transfer, put my transfer right here. I then take this and I lay it over very carefully so to knock the transfer. You don't want to move the transfer. Lay it over and I press. I have to add 20 seconds to my application because I've now placed this down. So if I do a 10-second press normally, I'm now doing a 30-second application. Why? Because if I press through this for just 15 seconds, pop the lid and feel it, it's only just starting to warm up, right? You are effectively heating through, melting the glue, pressing the transfer in place, but you're doing it so slowly that the fabric doesn't shriek and doesn't scare, I suppose. It's a bit like taking a piece of meat. No, talking about meat and cooking, but you take a piece of meat, you chuck it on a hot pan, it scorches straight away. Chuck it in the oven, you can heat it right up and you don't get any browning. Does that kind of make sense, right? It's a very similar, same approach, okay? This here stops the heat from moving through really quickly. It still gets through. It eventually gets there. It takes 20 seconds. And by that time, it's allowed everything to heat up nice and slowly without it scorching, okay? Melts the glue. You still have the downward pressure. Boom, 30 seconds is up, pops up. Peel this away, peel your transfer, off you go. Be very careful. This is extremely hot when it comes out of a heat press. So if I'm ever using this and I place it down, make sure it's hanging off. So when I press it, cool, I've got some cold areas to touch because this, when it comes out, is holding every bit of 150 degrees. And it doesn't cool down real quick either. It really holds that temp, and that's that insulator that's stopping that heat from going straight through, cool? So you gotta be really careful. Technique that I have that I would teach people, because they go, well, how do I use it? What you do, I've got a transfer here, front left chest that I'm pressing, boom, pops up. I just grab the corner, I fold it back, I peel the transfer, okay? Ultracolor Max, they're instant peels, they're hot peels. We wanna get the carrier off nice and quick, cool? Don't peel this away and what am I gonna do with it? Find a table, don't melt the floor type sort of thing. No, just peel it back, peel your transfer, and now you can take it away and do something with it. Don't throw it over your neck. Done it once before, won't ever do it again. Right? Some people use t-shirts and things like that to throw over, like, you know, we've all done it, like you get a t-shirt, you put that over the top of the transfer to sort of slow the heat going through because it stops the heat marks. Like that sort of way. This is just something that's going whole new level, next level sort of thing. It's designed for allowing you to heat press heat sensitive fabrics that scorch up and shine up really quickly, okay? Some fabrics you really can't help, but I can tell you there's been jobs that we've done in our business where the fabric, whatever, as soon as the heat plate came down and touches it, just shines up, okay? Something like this absolutely helps you. That's that there. Final thing, guys, I'm gonna hand these out to you because this is a big one as well. Has anybody ever done transfers where they have dye migration? They have the color of the shirt coming through their transfer, the customer brings it back in, their white print turned pink, their white transfer turned pink because it's on a red garment. Cool. Guys, there's all sorts of different types here. What we've done is we've just created a transfer that has, there we go, this particular transfer right here, half of it has been backed with black, which is a carbon-based ink, the other half hasn't. So when we talk about the right transfer for the job, it's all about understanding what's out there and what's available, cool? Cotton t-shirts, cotton fabrics typically don't dye migrate. Cotton natural fabrics typically have been fused and cured in a way that the dye doesn't migrate. It's when we get into synthetics such as polyesters and things like that, heavily dyed polyesters, where you start to get trouble, right? I always ask that question and people go, oh yeah, what type of garment? I'm like, right, would you take your white t-shirt and throw it into a washing machine with a red sports top, right? And they go, oh, definitely not. I'm like, cool, well, all right, we're starting to get an understanding, right? Red polyester, brand new. If it's dyed, okay, it's typically over dyed, meaning they know some of that dye is going to wash out in the first couple of washes sort of thing. And that's the sort of over dyeing that will discolor the back of a transfer that has a white backing. Cool? And that's the sort of thing that'll turn a transfer pink or purple or something like that. So we're talking about just heavily dyed, dark, bright colors will discolor transfers. So vinyl, HTV, much thicker, has a lot more body about it, less risk and concern with polyesters. As soon as we get to sublimation, does everybody know what a sublimated fabric is? Yeah, it's how sportswear is done, okay? It's sort of printing on paper and they fuse the ink onto the polyester and you get these beautiful bright coloured fabrics, right, for sportswear. That printing process is done with heat and pressure. That's how you print the actual fabric for the garment. So when we take a transfer, when a customer takes a transfer and presses a transfer onto a sublimated garment, in the same process as applying the transfer, they're reactivating and reversing the process of the original dyeing process of the sublimated fabric, right? What they get is a merge of the dye wanting to penetrate in out of the shirt into the bottom of the transfer. Cool. So when we buy a press onto sublimated fabrics, we want a sub-block vinyl. Okay, so if we're cutting vinyl out or printing vinyl, you want to make sure that you're using a sub-block. Now, there's lots of other transfers that have come onto the market. There's DTF transfers. If you have a look around this room, there's lots of direct-to-film transfer printing. Most direct-to-film transfer printing is done with a white ink on the back and also a white powder which turns clear. So that's not going to stop that dye migration coming from any shirts, okay? With DTF transfers, there's something that they call black powder, and it's effectively a dyed black powder. It's not stopping the dye migration coming through, but what it is creating is an optical barrier, so you can't see through the white ink, through the clear ink, and you can't see what's underneath. So in some way, it is actually providing a visual block to stop being able to see what's underneath. When you get to a hybrid transfer or a screen printed transfer, you start to get into the options where you can put a blocker on. Now, I've just handed out a whole heap of samples, but through these samples, there's 3 different blockers here that we've used, and this is really important to understand. 3 different levels of blocker for 3 different types of fabric that we have to stop the dye coming through. So we have what we call a dye blocker, right? Put your hand up if you've got a dye blocker. Excellent, done. So down the back here, we've got transfers with half of the transfer put a dye blocker on. It's kind of got a bit of a grey colour to it. And the reason it's grey, it's our level 1 blocker, okay? It will stop any pigmented dye from polyester, just over-dyed polyester, coming through and discoloring and transfer. Cool. That gives you the confidence that you're not going to have a transfer coming back that's going to look pink or anything like that. We then have sublimation blocker, which is like this one right here. It is a purely black-backed blocker, okay? For us to do that, we print 2 layers of it down in black, and it's a carbon-based ink. And that's the level that we have to go to stop sublimation ink penetrating through and discoloring our white transfers and stopping them from going pink or purple or seeing that dye coming through. Has anybody pressed transfers onto soft shell? Cool. How did it go? Good? Worked? Did you get any dye migration?
Depends on the garment.
Depends on the brand? Cool. Soft shell guys, soft shell, like the jackets, like they're awesome. They're very expensive, typically speaking. Like they're an expensive item. It's not a $3 purchase, right? Soft shell fabric is dispersed dye, okay? What happens when we transfer onto a soft shell fabric, it doesn't discolor straight away, okay? It discolors like mold over the course of the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, right? Know it by personal experience. Years ago, we did decoration work. We did a massive job for Toyota, pressed all their stuff, sent off to a fulfillment center, every individual bag, all the dealers like then order their clothing over the next 6 months. Everything looked amazing when we sent it out. And 3 to 4 months later, stock was going out to the dealers and they're getting it going, it's like it's got mold in it. And we genuinely thought it was mold, right? And it's tiny little dots that start. And these tiny little dots then just start to grow big. Have you seen this? Yes, think so. It looks like mold, and you're going, because things usually change colour evenly. Like the colour comes through and the whole thing changes pink or anything. No, with soft shell, it comes through like tiny dots of mould, and those dots grow and grow until they start merging into each other, until the whole thing is completely covered, and it's purely time. Just takes time, and I don't know why it comes through in dots. Cool. For us to stop dye from soft shells on our ultra colour product, right, we have to use what we call a soft shell blocker, which is a black carbon-based blocker that has the carbon ground so fine to create such a knit of blocker. We then put 2 layers of it down to stop that coming through. If I do 2 layers of sublimation blocker on the back of a transfer and press it onto a soft shell, it's not enough to stop the dye from soft shell fabric coming through and discolouring our transfers, right? Soft shell is one of those ones that it's a real challenging fabric. I know they're coming out in high vis colours and stuff like that. They may be a little bit less territorial, but certainly the black and the navy and the maroon that was traditional around soft shell is really a absolute offender for discolouring white transfers and that sort of thing over time. And it's over time that you send these garments out to your customers and they don't walk back in week 1, week 2, week 3 or week 4. It's only 3 months down the track, 4 months down the track that if they really see it. Now, maybe they think it's just dirt. Maybe it's just something on their shirt they've been wearing and it's getting dirty and all that sort of stuff, that's fine. But if you want to truly understand, soft shell dispersed dye absolutely comes through transfers over time. So there's a soft shell block availability for screen printed transfers as well. Guys, that's about as much as I can fit in, I think, in terms of time. I think that's my half an hour done, that sort of thing. Have you got any questions?
Is it only white soft shell?
Light coloured. So soft shell, traditionally, it's a really dark fabric, navy, black or maroon. So the colour of your transfer that you're putting on there is light, like whites, light colours, that sort of thing. So it's always a dark colour discolouring a light transfer is traditionally what happens with soft shell. If you had a white soft shell, no, not an issue whatsoever. Or it was a sky blue or something, be fine. Yeah. Guys, that is as much, pretty much in a nutshell, all of little tips and tricks. There's probably truckloads more, that sort of thing, but these are the things that catch people out. These are the things that you can implement in your business to be fast and efficient at heat application so that heat pressing is profitable in your business. Businesses that implement heat transfer and just put it on the side find it tedious and sometimes painful to get through. Those businesses that go, no, this can be viable in our business. We're going to set it up properly. We're going to have a station. We're going to have somewhere to put our garments right beside so that when we're pressing, we're not coming over here, grabbing our stock and then putting it here. If you saw yesterday's, we talked about efficiency and how to set up heat press stations and all that sort of stuff. If you're serious about it and you set yourself up properly, you should be doing 2 presses a minute, 2 applications a minute, so that you're doing 100 an hour, 150 minutes, 10-minute break. Have a little clock in front of you on the wall. One of the best things that you can do to keep somebody who's pressing just engaged with their time, because it's so easy for time to disappear when you're sitting here. Get distracted, check your phone, a little bit of Facebook, that sort of thing, before it popped up a minute ago. Cool, sweet. All of a sudden you've gone from doing 80 or 100 an hour down to 60 to 50. And so commonly I see our customers saying, Ben, the most we get is 30, 40 presses an hour. That is tops. And I'm here going, well, it's a 10-second press. If you're not doing 60 an hour, what are they doing for the 50 seconds between the 10-second application, right? What are they doing? If the shirt is there, the transfer is here, and all you're doing is pressing. They're doing a truckload of other stuff. When you're pressing, set yourself up. I've got 100 garments. I'm going to do this in an hour. I'm going to do this in an hour and a half. An hour and a half to do 100 garments is 1 every 60 seconds. And I promise you, if I'm pressing, press, it auto pops up. Right now, I can be grabbing my transfer, separate it. I don't put it in your mouth, put it on the table beside you so you can grab it straight away. It pops up. That was 10 seconds. Boom. I peel, slide the shirt off, grab my next shirt. It should be sitting right beside me. While it was pressing, I might have even grabbed the shirt and opened it up so it was really quick for me to grab and slide on. Slide it on. Just make sure we don't catch anything. Sliding it on, done. Grab the transfer, line it up, get it square. Tiny little tricks. If we're not sure about placement, whether it's skew, take a little bit of a step back and look down the press. Guys, sometimes it's hard to see looking over it if it's skewed, right? Have we all had that where you double guess yourself and you're like, oh, is it left, is it right? Step back a little bit. It's a bit like looking down a string line, okay? Have a look, yeah, that looks right. We can all pick somebody's shirt that's a little bit skewed when we're standing away from them. You're looking to go, I could have done better than that. You know, we all see it, but when we're up really close, you don't. It's only when you have a little bit of distance. So just take a step back and be like, yeah, that looks good. So I could keep going from around placement, the whole works. Guys, thank you very much. If you want to ask more questions around heat pressing, placement, you want us to show you the application of different transfers, anything to do with heat printing whatsoever, we're over there, Velflex stand, near the Mamaki stand there. We've got everything from HTV, the Caesar range, our screen printed, our Ultracolor Max, our Ultracolor transfers, our new Screen Print Pro, which is a transfer we've just released this week. So it's taking traditional screen print process but bringing it forward with current today glues to go into mixed fabrics and things like that, and also hot peel plastics. Most economical transfer we've ever produced as well. So higher volumes that you'd normally send to a screen printer, you can absolutely do in-house, control the pressing, that sort of thing. So come over, have a look at all of our transfer sort of stuff. All of the heat presses are on there as well as the accessories. We just show it all and help you guys make sure that you're profitable within your business.